legitimately a werewolf in Albuquerque.
What's going on, mate?
Gary!
Mayday! 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 Mayday!
How'd I get over here? What are we doing here? It is Sunday, but you know what? I was sitting on the couch and I said, there are so many court cases we need to get to. And I don't want them to rotten on the vine, so to say. So we're going to do this one. This one's going to take about 2 hours. So get comfortable, grab your favorite snack or beverage. Or if your favorite snack is a beverage, I guess that works too. I don't see why not. Of course, I will be here by myself today, which is, it is a thing that happens every once in a while. And I really did. I mean, I guess so. I missed hanging out with everybody. I missed going through these cases. We're going to let this baby roll. We'll stop it every once in a while to talk about it here and there. I'd love to know you guys' opinions on what's happening here on this case. I have seen some of it. And to be honest, a couple of parts are kind of brutal.
Hey now.
So we'll see if we can get through this. Hopefully everybody remembers to like the video, does all that kind of thing. It would appear so. And I do know she has a lot of wardrobe issues. I did see that where she's constantly grabbing and moving her top around. Maybe a distraction. Maybe she's distracting the judge. Maybe the judge likes that. I don't know. Shadow, good to see you. Carol, this is your first live. I mean, now we've got to set the bar like really high. Now this is the time where I come in here and just, blow your socks off. Maybe it'll happen. We'll see. Don't forget, this coming Thursday, I'll be hanging out over here with the fine folks at Time Serve have asked for my services to come by and hang out, do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So if you're a fan of Time Serve, you'll see me over there. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys as well. Well, I think I've gave everybody enough time to get here. Make sure you like the video and let's jump on into it, shall we?
At this time, Mr. Fry, this is your motion. I will ask you to please, sir, state your full name for the record.
Jared Fry.
And how do you know Miss McDowell?
We dated in the past.
Thank you,
And
Amanda.
when you say dated, about how long? What type of relationship was it?
About 3 months. A relationship, exclusive.
Okay. And the questions I'm asking is because there's specific legal findings I have to make based on the evidence presented. And so dating violence, this is a dating violence petition, and it has specific findings under the dating violence statute. So when you were dating over that 3 months, how often would you see each other per week?
Pretty often.
And did you present yourself to other people as dating?
Yes.
Did you spend the night over at each other's houses?
Yes.
All right. So when did the relationship end?
About January 9th.
All right. And let's see. So why did you file this petition?
It's just I've been trying to, things didn't work out between us. So, been trying to create some distance between us, but she continues to pursue, just harassment actions, etc. And I just wanted to stop. I went through, me and her went through enough on our own, but when she starts to make threats against my family, friends, and associates, I just don't deem it necessary, and it wouldn't stop. And I just wanted to stop.
Okay, so you said the relationship ended January 9th?
Real quick, we typically don't see a lot of people that are there because she's, usually it's just between the couple. But he just said that she's threatening his family, friends, and associates. So this ought to be interesting. I've got to hear more. I mean, he seems like a really sad guy. He's got a real monotone voice. Well, maybe we'll get to know him a little better.
Yes.
All right. And then I see that there's been a couple of petitions filed but not served. So the first petition you filed was on January 11th. Is that right?
Yes.
So let me ask you this. When you say the relationship ended, did you ask her to have no contact with you anymore?
Yes.
And that would be on January 9th?
Yes. Even though we had contact after that, but January 9th,
Okay. When you said you had contact after that, what do you mean?
She's was still fresh and ongoing. So, she still had property of mine. So I needed to retrieve it.
So y'all had consensual contact after that.
Correct.
Would she call you and you'd call her back, or how did that contact happen?
Yes, both ways.
Okay. And so what happened that made you file on January 11th?
There was just, I've had to, dial 911 at least 3 times. January 9th was the 3rd time.
Okay,
And
so tell me before, so you had it, so tell me during your relationship,
mhm.
were there
Yes.
any problems?
Yeah, there were problems, we were trying to work through it. But the 3rd time just didn't work out. So that was kind of the end of it.
So y'all broke up a few times?
We didn't more or less breaking up. It's just, things transpired. Me for myself, as a male, I don't put my hands on, women. So,
That's good.
the best option for me, I think at the time is to, have the police get involved to create that separation, because each time Miss, McDowell would refuse to leave the situation, I guess.
Real quick, he also said, if you guys notice, there was tons of times he's filed several times, but didn't pull the trigger on any of them until this one, basically. And real quick, JoJo, welcome to the fam. Glad to have you. Don't forget, guys, you can join, become a member very easily for as little as $3 a month. So we appreciate that, JoJo. Welcome. All right, let's see what they got to say.
Okay, so tell me about the first time you called the police and why.
It's a long story, but
Well, that's what we're here for.
pretty much what happened is, I had a relative, and and their friend came from out of town. We were at my house. They came and showed up, and 3 people were there, came over, and 2 people didn't speak to her, and she just felt very insulted by that. And things just got out of hand. All throughout that night, I know we were headed out to go out to eat. I was going to get her a cell phone, take her shopping and stuff like that, but before we could get to that point, it just became a big ordeal. I believe it was maybe the next night. I think it was that night. Before all that, when we were en route to go out, she was yelling, screaming, pointing her fingers in my face. So I decided to turn the car around, go back home, and try to create some distance between us. She refused. She took my cell phone, she took my keys, just kind of held me hostage from being able to get away from her and whatnot. And things started to cool down, things started to escalate again, and she started to put her hands on me. So I continuously asked her to leave. I had to dial 911. When 911 arrived, she did,
You're right, Michael.
threatened to kill herself, suicide and all that stuff. There was
no.
an instance where, I was in the living room watching TV, waiting on things to calm down, and out of nowhere, she just went to the, kitchen drawer, grabbed a knife, and proceeded to the bathroom. And when I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I followed her in there. She was about, I had to lunge and knock the knife out of her hand and throw it away, because she was trying to, I guess, make a cut in her arm or whatnot. So,
Oh no.
at that point, the authorities were on the way. When they got there, they said, she, she made a comment that even if she did leave, she would do it anyway, even if she was at home. The officer asked her if it was true. She said yes. So at that point, his protocol was to call EMS, have her evaluated, stuff like that. And it pretty much went from there. That was the first time.
That's
Okay.
bad. Real bad.
Do you know if she was transported to a hospital that day?
Yes, Grady.
All right. So, but at that point, you were not broken up finally. So, what happened after that? Did you get back together and then have to call the police again? What happened? What went on?
I mean, Miss McDowell, she's not an Atlanta native, so she didn't have many family and friends. So I felt obligated to continue to, be in contact with her and try to work things out with her. So, we didn't end after the first time. The second time occurred, we were in DeKalb County. We were in the car. Things got, escalated, and it was her car and she was driving. I asked her to take me back to, her place so I can get in my car and leave. She refused. So eventually she said, if I take you home, are you going to leave? I said no. When I did get back to her house, I did, I had to call an Uber actually, because I didn't drive to her place and she refused to take me home. So I called an Uber and she started to understand that the Uber was on the way to pick me up. I literally walked from the back of her apartment complex all the way to the front where she followed me. I didn't submit the video as evidence, but I do have the video where she followed me. And not only that, she took my AirPods. She tried to take my backpack from me. She did get physical with me. She started hitting me, and I just continued to proceed to walk away. I even have the recording where she followed me all the way to the Uber and tried to hit me while I was getting into the car, but eventually I left. But that's not the end of it. That night, immediately right after she followed me to my home, there is evidence where she was attempting to put the code into my door to gain access to my property unauthorized, and where.
All right, so he's bringing up all this evidence, especially with the video. He says he has the video. Anytime we see somebody say, "I have this," but they haven't submitted it, huge mistake, and also a huge red flag. Thank you, Flusha, for all the monies, the $2. You're on the monetary monorail. Very toxic sounding relationship. Probably one that should have ended a long time ago. And if she's having those kinds of bad thoughts, it's not good. And if you or someone is having those sort of feelings, there's tons of help out there. Always never suffer in silence. There are places for people who are thinking about harming themselves. So make sure you look for those and reach out to people that you think might be in danger.
She was knocking on the door. So at that point, I had to call the police again. That was the second occurrence.
So did you call her? So you went back to your home and she arrived at your house?
Yes, she's followed me there.
All right. And so what happened when the police came out?
Because I can, Lisa.
They pretty much, asked her to leave. They created separation. So.
Okay. And so did you get back together after that?
Yes, we did. She apologized again. I mean, if you can't tell, this was definitely a relationship that was pursued by the both of us, even myself. And she apologized. She seemed very remorseful about what transpired. So, in the midst of trying to work things out, we were working things out.
Good to see you, Caboose.
All right. And so you mentioned that she was striking you while you were walking to the Uber. Had she ever been violent with you before that?
Well, she did the first time as well. The first incident.
And what did she do on that incident physically?
I mean, besides just just follow me every move that I made, follow me around and just confrontational and just, hit on me, and I had to, kind of grab her and restrain her from hitting on me. So that was the first time, and the second time when she was striking me on the way to the Uber.
Again, a lot of aggression going on here. And she's making some faces.
Hitting you the first time. Where were you when that was happening?
A one time downstairs and a second time in my living room on the couch.
What's up, Brian and Kim? It seemed like they get away from each other and just come right back.
So the third time, what happened? What led up to that?
Well, the third time, we were watching the UGA championship game at my family friend's house. It's from friends that were really close. Over 13-year relationship that we have. It's a husband and wife, kids, grandkids, stuff like that. So we always go over there, watch the game. We were watching the game, and everybody was mingling, talking, celebrating the game and stuff like that. And she was on the couch on her phone the whole time. And I would walk over there sometimes, and she would be on her phone, but then she starts switching the screens and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay. So I walk over there a few more times, and I see that she was texting somebody. I'm like, hey, is everything okay? You didn't are you basically checking on her, making sure she wasn't uncomfortable or whatnot. She was like, yeah, everything's fine. So one time when I went over, and she's sitting on the couch, it's very visible, and I just stood behind her. I saw her texting. She was texting a guy that she's been having some dealings with. He's been over her house. They've been on dates and stuff like that. Which, I wasn't saying. I wasn't being too confrontational with her, because sometimes when you approach her, she's not very receptive of receiving information or whatnot. So,
all right. So our first sign of him being kind of, anytime you're like looking over someone's shoulder or asking somebody who you texted and things like that shows the first signs of like the contentious part of him, coming out during this relationship. But again, on the wacko scale, she's got the needle a little more on her side right now, but starting to see a little something going on. I know it's weird that I'm on Sunday, but I just felt like doing the show and hanging out with you guys.
I felt some type of way, and so I leaned over and I just watched them have a whole conversation, laughing back and forth. I'm like, it was very disrespectful and inappropriate, and I told her that you're lucky that we're over here at my family and friend's house. Otherwise, basically there would be an altercation. But I made an empty threat.
So when you say there would be an altercation, what were you meaning by that?
Well, basically, good thing we're over here, because if not, I told her I would drag her.
You would drag her?
Yes.
Okay. That's effed up as all day long. I mean, he's telling her I would have dragged you if we wouldn't be. You better be glad there's other people around. Again, more cracks in this guy's armor as we're going. Griggsy, good to see you. Good to see everybody. Courtney, Laura over there in Michigan, everybody. So glad you guys are here and spending time with me today. And by the way, congratulations to our good friend Kitchen. Court cases, 1,000 subscribers. Way to go. Congratulations. That's
the one and only time I've ever made any type of threats against him. And it was in front of other people. They didn't hear it. They didn't know it. I said it in their ear because I was literally right there in their ear. Nobody else had.
That's even creepier.
Going on, but it was the heat of the moment. It was an empty threat. It's not anything that I've ever done, and I've never ever done before, and won't ever do.
A lot happened in a short amount of time.
We didn't get physical or anything. Continuing, once I said that, she became very uncomfortable. She would pull the husband of the house to the side, and she tried to, how when somebody's guilty, they always try to be the first person to deliver some news or whatnot. So she, went and pulled him to the side. Like, yeah, Jared's upset with me because
he's got a lot of theories.
I was texting a friend or whatnot, and he told me this because when he came back in the house, I was like, "Did she say anything to you?" He was like, "Yeah." She admitted. She told me that she was texting a friend. I was like, "Did she tell you that it was a guy?" He was like, "No, she didn't mention that part." And while me and him were talking, she immediately went from him and pulled the wife of the house. They went to the back of the room and had, whatever discussion they had. And after that, she approached me and said that, I'm ready to go. Take me home right now. And I was like, hey, I'm watching the game. Could you please, leave me alone? And she refused to leave me alone, but continued to end the game out. Eventually left. As soon as we got in the car, she was yelling very abrasively, saying very obscene things, to the point where she was spitting in my face, and this was the entire drive home.
Spitting. Oh, now look, there's a lot of things I can put up with, but spitting ain't one of them. So, as a couple of people in the chat said, yeah, when he says drag her, doesn't mean like literally grab her by the hair and drag her around the house. But either way, no matter what it is, he instigated this tension between them. If it was already bad, him whispering in her ear is only made it worse. Now we're in the car and we're spitting on folk.
Very uncomfortable, but I did my best to keep my composure. So, to ensure the safety of both of us. So on the way home, we got to the house, I already told her before we even left where we were to, if you could please take your stuff and go home tonight, please, just leave me alone to get some distance between us. But, again, she refused to leave. And, I asked her ample amount of times, like, hey, are you sure? Like, you want to do this because I don't want you here or whatnot. So she refused. And
welcome, Deb.
I even offered to get her an Uber ride home. She drove to my house. She refused to drive her car back home. I even offered to get her an Uber and she refused. She said she's not going anywhere. She's going to stay the night. And I was like, I just don't want you here. So eventually, at that point, I continued to proceed to find anything that she had at the home to gather and put it together. And she just, started saying obscene things. Do not touch my stuff. I dare you. I wish you would, don't this, that, and the third. And eventually, she's following me around the house. So I walked to the sink. She followed me to the sink. I grabbed a bottle of water exactly like this, a bottle of water like this, and I started drinking it because my mouth was dry. And when I put it to my mouth, she smacked it into my face. I thought she knocked my teeth out or whatnot.
Ooh.
And and water got all over me, my person, my face or whatnot. And in retaliation to that, the rest of the water in the bottle left, I continued to pour it on her in the manner like this. So I just poured it on her like that or whatnot. But after that, I believe I had already dialed 911 at that time. So I did dial 911 before that. So I was just waiting on them to arrive to de-escalate the situation.
So your testimony is that she smashed a bottle of water into your face and then you poured the water on her?
Yeah, she smashed it into my face. The water got all over me. It was a lot of water. So, I was gasping for breath. And when I finally caught my breath and I looked up at her,
she nearly
she was
drowned
still standing right there. So I proceeded to dump the remaining water on her.
Did you have any injuries from that?
Minor abrasion, but nothing serious.
Where was it?
In my mouth, in my gums, and my lip.
I mean, he slipped in all these little things that he's done. He's definitely no saint. It seems like, it's his side is growing more and more. He's being honest, I guess. I mean, unless there's way worse things he's done, he's being kind of honest and fessing up to some of the stuff he's done.
Okay. All right. And so around what date was this?
This was January 9th.
Okay.
And so, the officer did show up. He de-escalated the situation, escorted off the premises or whatnot. And immediately the next day, we both filed protective orders against each other.
So they both went and filed at the same time, same day. Yeah, he's done.
One quick second. Also, I will add that when the officer did arrive, she did try to tell the officer that I assaulted her, and and she pushed to have me arrest. And the reason the officer didn't arrest me is because he was like, I don't see any evidence of assault. And she said, well, my lip is bleeding. He said, show me your lip. So she pulled her lip down and he put the flashlight on it. And this should be all in their report and body cam footage. I've submitted an open record request. They said it takes
Well,
about.
so I hear that, but that's not before me I don't have that evidence right now. You can tell
Right.
me what you saw and heard, but
So he
you can't really
flashed.
say what someone else said, but you can tell me what you saw.
Right. So he flashed the flashlight on her lip to wherever she said her lip was bleeding. He said, "Ma'am, I don't see any blood." And she said, "Well, he threw water on me."
She
He was
just
like,
left.
"Well, ma'am, he didn't physically assault you, so I don't see any reason to arrest Mr. Fry."
Okay.
And she was very displeased with that.
All right. So,
Even though I made the 911 call and it was my residence.
all right.
He does say
So,
whatnot a couple times.
since then, and that was about January 9th.
Yes.
So since January 9th, did you at some point say, I do not want to have any more communications with you?
Yes.
When was that?
I can't remember. I mean, pretty much during the protective order, but me and her, again, she did have some possessions of mine. Also that night, she bought me a PlayStation for Christmas, and she ended up taking it with her. After she took it, I don't know what transpired with it. Eventually, it didn't work. She was very upset about it, and she had my cell phone. I bought her a cell phone because she was had some dealings with another guy before me and her got involved. And her phone bill was outrageous, so her phone got shut off. So I ended up getting another cell phone. She showed the receipt for the PlayStation to the officer. He allowed her to take it. I showed him a receipt to the cell phone, and he refused to have her turn it over to me. So we still had those things.
Yeah. So but even if I issue an order today, that's not going to be addressed. I can't make somebody give a gift back. That's
No.
gonna
I'm not asking. I'm just giving you.
I didn't know what you were. Okay.
I will say this: he does seem like he's being honest and fessing up to some of the really dastardly things he's kind of done in this relationship. Again, bringing up stuff. Once you give somebody a gift, the chances you get it back is less than zero.
But I got the cell phone back, by the way. So basically, to all in say, we still had dialogue after that for the possession of property. We got it. I got it from her, me and her together personally. We did talk things out. We were both remorseful and apologetic about how things transpired. So we did still have dealings after that. And we both.
Okay, so hold on. I'm going to pause you there. Y'all talked things out and both felt remorseful. So around when is that?
Between January 11th and whenever the first hearing, was for
way away from each other.
TPO order. I don't remember the date.
Okay, so did something change after that?
Well, yeah. So we both dismissed our first protective order. I believe it was like a Thursday or Friday, and immediately that Monday, I want to say it was as soon as that following Monday, she just started, going in on me again with the threats. I've seen language just harassment. I submitted the evidence as well, and I believe that timeline is for the evidence that I submitted starting that Monday, where I have dozens of missed calls from an unblocked number. I blocked her on the cell phone, mobile, social media, and stuff like that, and she would still continue to reach out.
So from that time when y'all both dismissed your cross petitions, and you're saying on that Monday you started getting threats.
There's the first thing we needed, by the way, him saying, I told her to stop contacting me. I blocked her. So anything beyond that contact, then, maybe that'll build towards his case a little bit.
What were the threats, and how do you know they were from her?
Well, it's in the evidence.
Well, I need you. So
yeah.
I have not. So evidence does not. I don't look at evidence until it's attempted to be tendered into evidence or is tendered into evidence. You've sent it in, and we can pull it up if you've submitted it. But you still have to testify as to what the evidence is you're seeking to introduce and why.
Well, on social media posts, she went to Facebook and went to my business page. I have a car dealership. She went to my business page, put my first name, middle name, last name. She said that, she claimed that I assaulted her. She said, she said other things. She said I sell lemon. She, defamed my business, my character. She went to Instagram and she put, my first name, middle name, last name. She tagged my employer. my job title. She put where I live. She tagged Atlanta Police Department, expressed her disgust with them. She said that she was 110% pushing for my arrest. You know, besides the obscene language, screenshots of my social media profile with my face on it and my name.
Okay, let me ask you threat. So I hear you saying that she's saying she was mad you weren't arrested and was saying, but what threat did she make to you?
Besides, you know, like things like I'll beat your ass, you know, I wish you would. She was like, she made threats like, you lucky
Okay.
I'm a changed person, otherwise you will be up out of here. I'm not the person I used to be. You know, I could have somebody come down here and get you up out of here as soon as, you know.
So
quick.
when would you get a threat like I'll beat your ass? When was that coming through?
But that was often. So
Okay. Is that since that January 9th date?
yes.
Okay. So you say you've submitted some things into evidence?
Yes.
Do you know how they're
100%.
labeled?
I don't, but there are just a few videos and the rest are screenshots, and they kind of speak for themselves.
All right.
Again, you get a TP, you plan on getting a TPO out on somebody, you don't take it back and you don't go back with them. Again, Flusha, doing the Lord's work today. Thank you, sir, for your support. And please don't forget to like the video. We'll see. Everybody's got an opinion about this guy so far, but he makes really bad decision, and now she's dragging his name through the mud, trying to get him in trouble with his work, which is not cool.
Miss Broom, can you see if we have things for the petitioner? It seems like there's a lot in there, so you're going to need to tell us what you would like to pull up.
Well,
Really
if you just click through it, I mean, you can see it. It's very clear.
Maybe. I don't
let's
know.
see.
Let me ask you this while we're pulling those up. If you, during the time when you said she started, after you dismissed your cross petition, she started sending you text messages or threatening you or calling you. When, at any point, did you say anything to her? Did you reach out to her during any of this time?
Reach out. Well, yeah, you know, again, even in the midst of that, we would still have, I guess you say, good times where we were having regular conversations. I believe I'm not sure if we went out or anything like that, but yeah, it was back and forth. This was before I filed the second motion.
Okay, so so after she's sending you all this stuff,
Hallelujah,
the
Jim.
threats,
Thank you, buddy.
and after she posted the stuff on your employer, all that stuff, y'all rekindled again or started talking again?
Yes.
Okay. And then after,
Yes.
hold on.
I think our last communications were up until February.
I mean, you definitely have to hold. You have to hold your judgments, guys, until you've heard them both, because it seems like, you know, he was saying all these bad things about her, but then he's putting in little nuggets about himself. So again, he seems honestly making bad decisions.
Can't remember the date, but maybe very early March. I haven't spoken with her since at least early March. I know at least since before. I know during the midst of the second order, I haven't had any contact with her since then, and no contact since the third order has been submitted.
Okay, so y'all rekindled again, and at some point, did you stop talking then?
I wondered that too, Courtney.
Okay, around when would that be?
This would have had to been, let's see.
Parking garage.
Because I remember one night I had to kind of get away from her. We were, you know, doing DoorDash, and it was North Atlanta, and I literally had to get out of the car and get away from her and catch an Uber back home, because, you know, things started to before things transpired too much. You know, I just wanted to get away from her. So that happened around, I can tell you. maybe March 6th.
Day
No,
before
I'm
my
not sure.
birthday.
It had to be late February, early March. I can't quite remember.
Okay. So after that time period, and when you filed on March 21st, so between say March 6th and March 21st, have you had any communications from her?
Give or take, not. I don't think so.
Has she come to your house or anything?
Not to my knowledge.
Does she have any property still at your house?
Not at my house, but she does have a garage opener that has access to the building.
And did you get that back? I noticed that was in the ex parte order. Did you
I
get
did.
that back when she was served?
No, ma'am.
Get that back. Get that back. Jim, hallelujah. Appreciate it, buddy.
Okay. All right. And one of the things I have to look at is whether there's a fear going forward. And so it's understandable parties may get back together, but it also may be reflective of whether the last time y'all stopped having contact, has there been any incidents that would support you having the need for an order going forward? And so that's one of the things I'm having to look at.
Yes.
All right. Do you have any well, actually, let's see. We'll pull up. Well, Madam Clerk, I guess we can just pull one up and start from the top, whatever the top is for you for the
You get those
petitioner's,
feelings.
exhibits.
You start making bad decisions.
I do have one.
I better not ever run into you, because if I do, I'm spitting on you, and if I run into you with my next finger, I'm gonna have him beat your ass, because that's how.
Whoa.
Mm.
All right, before they rewind that, my goodness, she come out swinging. I didn't expect this kind of language or this kind of viciousness from this lady, but never judge a book by its cover.
Okay. Around when was that?
I'm not sure. That was. I want to say since the third one. It was one of the most recent. Up until. It was one of the most recent things.
Okay.
It was one of the most recent, one of the last things that, she said to me.
Okay.
Ready for the next one, Judge?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
It'll be nothing but fucking disrespect towards you and your fucking family. Everybody that you love, all y'all can fucking go to hell. All y'all can go to hell. Anybody that is associated and affiliated with you can fucking die tonight. I don't give a fuck about you or nobody on your side.
Whew. Well,
That's around the same time.
So those are from this year?
Yes, the most recent stuff.
All right.
I was not expecting that. It's even worse than the first one. Again, we always have to wait and hear both sides of the story because you never know what we're going to get with this. You don't, because that got out of hand like crazy fast.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
One more, Judge.
Thank you. For some reason, I'm not seeing them on my side.
Got to get a new garage door. Yikes. Indeed.
All right.
She got a potty mouth.
Okay. Did you submit anything else you want the court to consider?
I mean, yeah, there's one more.
Yes, I do want it to be good
If she
too.
can play it. It's the longer one, not the short one.
It's another video.
Yes.
Hold on.
Would you ever consider somebody telling people they can go to hell, don't care what happens to them? That's just being spiteful, right? That's not like, you know, somebody being like, oh, you can go to hell. They're like, well, I gotta die to get there. So is that a death threat? What do you guys think?
Let's see, I can tell you which one it is. It's 0157.
Pretty much. You called it, I guess. Don't forget to like this video. Or this lady's gonna call you.
Not this one.
Oh, we already heard that one. She's not playing around. They got bring
Hey,
in.
what did you say the last numbers was?
0157.
Does he seem really sad to you guys? I mean, he seems really sad, like a really sad fella. I'm not gonna say soft. I'm just gonna say sad.
They said they sent that one was too large.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay. So usually you get an email back
No, I didn't get the email back.
that says it has to be in a PDF form. Might end up being junk email, but it says it has to be in a PDF form to submit. So what is that? The last video that you're saying, the large one, what does that involve?
not yet. T. He said he couldn't get them.
Can you hear it?
Over and die, and you're gonna cry like a fucking bitch. Fuck you. Now I'm really gonna fucking disrespect you, bitch. I don't have no respect for you. You a bitch. You can go to hell today. You can die today. I promise you. I will not give a fuck. I will not give a fuck about you. You a fucking bitch. You heard what I said. Now do something if you don't fucking like it. I dare you. I fucking dare you. You cried about a bitch ass warrant yesterday. Oh, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail on my ass about making a call. And then when I do make a call, you want to turn around like you fucking did something? Bitch, fuck you. God gonna humble your stupid ass. I don't got no respect for you. I'ma disrespect you every fucking chance that I get. So now, bitch, you lose my number. That's what the fuck you do. You block me on everything. I don't give a fuck. Go die. I hope you fall over and fucking die. You can die today. I promise you. I will not shed a tear. I would love to come to that funeral just to spit on your fucking grave, bitch. Talk about evil and demon. I'll show you evil and demon. You a fucking bitch. Your mama and daddy raised a bitch ass nigga, and your daddy wasn't even fucking there for real, dumbass bitch.
Excuse the language.
Want to fucking talk about me and the issues that I have. Bitch, fuck you. Fuck you. And we can take it there any fucking day long, because you are a bitch ass nigga. You fucking 33. You fucking have terrible fucking body odor. At 33, you don't even wear deodorant. The fact that you think that you could fucking not wear deodorant and not smell is literally beyond me. I accepted too much shit from you. You ain't shit. I wish you would. I fucking wish you would. I don't gotta inflict no harm, or danger on you. I don't have to touch you. I don't have to do nothing. But I'm gonna fucking verbally disrespect you every chance I get. And if you don't fucking like it, block me. Dumb bitch. Talk about you had dad issues. Well, your dad gonna be out of here. So what? Cry about it, bitch. Go ahead and fucking cry about it. Your dad's gonna croak over in a minute, but you want to bring up my dad? Bitch, get the fuck out of here. Your mama is a whole quarter. from the trauma and pain that your dad inflicted on her. And you want to fucking bring up my mom? Bitch, bye. Bitch, bye. My mom not fucking dirt poor like your mom is.
Oh God.
How about that one?
Going for the mamas.
Fucking about it. I wish you would. I wish you want to fucking make a fucking move. I'm tired of your dumb ass. Stupid bitch. Don't ever fucking contact me. You don't ever call me for shit. Don't block me on Instagram, block me on everything. Don't be watching my stories trying to fucking keep tabs on me. Don't do none of that shit. You a fucking bitch and you could drop dead today. Bye.
So mind you, Judge,
Okay. There was a lot to unpack there. She is absolutely angry as hell in that. She is leaving no stones unturned. She went after the mom. She went after the daddy issues. I don't know why he would want to stay with this woman ever. If she showed any of that to me, I'd have been like, yeah, I'm changing my number and getting a new garage opener. She's insane.
There was a no caller ID call. She was already blocked. She's been blocked for a long time.
Or maybe I've never been as mad as this lady is, because I've never said I was going to show up at somebody's funeral and spit in her face.
And also, that, you know, those are the things that just how you see the conversation starts and it hangs up. She's the only person speaking. I'm not provoking her. I'm not making threats against her. I'm not saying anything bad about her. I'm not, you know, I'm really trying to get away from the situation. And, you know, and I'm in the middle of meetings at work. You know, I may have 30 missed calls from a block number. And, you know, I finally answer the phone. And I mean, I even have an hour long, a couple videos where it's an hour long where she's just nonstop. So I don't even say a word to her.
An hour of that?
So does she leave the message on the phone, or you answer the phone and then just let her talk?
I answer and let her talk so she stop calling. Because if I don't, she just bars my phone, ties up my line. I mean, I get calls from work, you know, employer, contractors, vendors, saying, hey, man, I've been unable to reach you, you know, to discuss business that, you know, for work and stuff like that. And it's because my line is tied up. Sometimes I have to put it on do not disturb, and I still won't get phone calls because I have to put it on do not disturb.
I can see that being annoying.
All right. When's the last time you got a message like that?
Last night.
Like that was the last one I got was
I guess so. He had something coming
it
somewhere.
was about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, no threats, really.
It's the last time I heard from her. And my whole thing about, you know, this is that, you know, is from my observation and experience, you know, it's easier for a male, you know, a guy to get in trouble and may not be able to bounce back from a situation. I have a friend where he went through something similar and things quieted down for about 2 months. And one day, you know, his ex stalked him to a place where he was on a date with another female and the altercation happened. He was arrested, he was charged, he lost his job. I just, you know, fear that they may happen to me as well. I just don't want that to happen. There's a reason why I'm asking for this work.
Okay. And when you said you would get multiple calls from blocked numbers, has that happened recently?
3 weeks is about the last time.
All right. Anything else? You'll be able to have the final, since it's your case. If there's anything you want to add after she presents her evidence, you may. But anything else at this time?
He stank.
All right. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, before you, obviously, like I said, you can just start and tell me everything you want me to know and present any evidence, or you can ask me some specific questions you would like me to ask him about what he's testified to. It's your decision.
I think this relationship had one person that was in love and one person that was just there. You can figure out who's who.
Yes, ma'am. I don't have any questions. I can just go ahead and tell you everything from my side. I submitted evidence as well when you're ready to look at it, and it's labeled R through U. So if you saw that much evidence, most of that came from me.
Okay. So what I need is, I need you to give me some testimony about what you're talking about, and then we can go to the evidence piece by piece as it is relevant to what you're telling me. Okay.
Absolutely. So I will start from October when he mentioned the fact that he had relatives come into town. He did. He had a cousin and 2 unknown girls come with him to the house. When I opened the door, they pretty much did not speak to me. I felt that they were very disrespectful. So I did get upset. And at that time, I went to Jared and I said, hey, your cousin spoke to me, but the 2 girls did not. They literally looked at me like I had 3 eyes, and that's disrespectful. Initially,
she was upset because the other people at the place didn't talk to her and looked at her like she had 3 eyes. She does understand they don't have to like her. They don't have to talk to her. That's okay. Whatever.
He does not console me at all. He immediately says, oh my God, Demi, please don't start a fight. So initially, me being human, that made me feel away because I definitely felt like he did not have my back. I didn't even know what he meant when he said, please don't start a fight. If we are in a relationship, I'm supposed to come to you if I'm feeling hurt or disrespected or ignored. Not in our home because I had my own residence. So I had my home in Stone Mountain, but I was there at his house majority of the time. So after that, the energy just got really, really low. Again, I felt like he did not have my back. He really didn't care about my feelings. So eventually we did go out to the car and I pretty much turned to him and I said in a low voice, you may have people disrespect you, but I'm not going to allow people to disrespect me. And then that's when the verbal argument ensued. He initially got defensive and said that I was overreacting to the situation. So that's when he turned back the car around and went home. So he is right about that. He turned the car back around. We did not end up going shopping, out to eat or anything. And things escalated from there. When I say from there, it was still a verbal argument that we were having. I was telling him how I feel like that's not right, that he did not have my back, and I'm very upset with him. Fast forward, at this time, I did not have a phone because my phone get turned off because the phone bill was like $5,000 and I could not pay that. So Jared was going to get me a new phone. But
how do you get a $5,000 cell phone bill? Don't they cut your phone off after a month? Was that like 2 years worth of service you didn't pay for? You don't even have long distance calls anymore. How do you have a $5,000 phone bill?
But that did not happen because of what happened on, I believe that was October 28th. So between October 28th and October 29th, I did not have a phone and I was very upset with him.
Thank God.
He actually did call the police on me October 30th because I did show up to his home because to tell him I don't have a phone, I have no way of communicating with my family or friends or anything like that. So he obliges with me. He decides to go and take me to get a phone. Now, by the time we got back to his home, I'm trying to talk to him, say, hey, I'm very upset with you. Like, I don't know why this is happening. Why are you excuse my language, but I asked him, why are you being an asshole? Like, why are you being mean to me? And a verbal argument still ensued.
Just heard you say much worse.
That is when I had a mental breakdown. So yes, he is right. I did try to hurt myself. I was not in the right state of mind. I felt that I was being verbally and mentally abused. So he did have to call the police that night. And that night, they did take me to Grady because I did admit to the officer that if I go home tonight, I will try to hurt myself. And at the time, I meant it. I've never had suicidal actions or thoughts before. So that was my first time ever going through something like that. They had took me to Grady. They evaluated me. And then after speaking with me and knowing a little bit more about my history, the doctor, I don't want to say what he says because it's hearsay, but pretty much they let me go because he said that he did not see anything. I want to say like a red flag to where I would really hurt myself. So he discharged me from the hospital and Jared came to pick me up from the hospital.
Well, that was nice of him.
And which I submitted evidence with that. Jared came to pick me up from the hospital and our text messages from that tells me, I'm sorry. I
Thank you,
didn't know
Toyma.
that things were this bad. Please let me know if you need anything. So that was October 31st, because that fell on a Monday. So when I had my suicide attempt and he called the police, that was October 30th.
Well, he did you a
Okay.
favor.
Okay, so fast forward till then, pretty much we got right back together. We never broke up, just a little bit of distance for a couple of days, but we got right back together. Everything was normal. I'm looking on his order where he has dates for November, November 3rd, 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. I'm quite confused because we spent Thanksgiving together. We were still together in November, in which I have evidence of that as well. We spent Thanksgiving with his people that he calls his Atlanta family, Andrew and Kimberly Guider. And in my evidence, I submitted their address and what their home looks like, just to give you a visual of where we were for Thanksgiving. So I did spend it with him. I'm looking at his order and he says something about dates of December 15th and December 30th. We were still together December 15th and December 30th. I've also submitted evidence to where we went to Stone Mountain Park to go to the New Year's Festival that night. And there's evidence in that. I just have a slew of text messages with timestamps just to give you a visual picture of when things happened and when things were said. The biggest thing that I want to address is him putting on the order that, you know what, let me backtrack. So I filed a temp order against him. I filed a temp order against him January 10th or 11th.
You're fine,
after our January 9th altercation. Now, January 9th, we were at Kimberly and Andrew Guider's home watching the game. Jared was already annoyed with me because we got into like a little tiff, a little argument before he left. So he was very irritated with me before we even got to Kimberly and Andrew's home. He put distance between himself on purpose. He sat on one side of the couch of the living room and I sat on the other. So we were definitely not close in proximity, like sitting together like a normal couple would. And he's right, I was on my phone because he wouldn't talk to me. He wouldn't even get up to pour me a drink or anything. So naturally, I get on.
He's got to get up and pour her drinks now? I mean, they're hanging out with people. I feel like it's because she's not the center of attention. She got mad. But again, he has his shortcomings too, like the smelly stuff.
On my phone and I text my friend. He is a male friend. I've never had any dealings with him. I've never cheated on Jared. I've always prided myself on being faithful and committed in that relationship, no matter what we went through. And it's not in my character to cheat. So anyways, I was texting my male friend because recently I found out that his stepdad had stage 4 cancer. That was the reason that I texted him to check on him, say, hey, how are you? How's your family doing? Sure. Now, Jared, unbeknownst to me, he's watching me from the other side of the living room, just watching me, seeing what I'm doing, trying to like, who is she texting? What is she on her phone doing? He keeps getting up and walking past me. Now, I'm not changing my screens. I'm just on my phone because I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't have anything to hide. He keeps walking past me. The last time that he walked past me, I'm still on my phone. At this point, I'm between Instagram and I'm texting my friend Dennis. We're having a whole conversation laughing. Jared is literally crouched down over my shoulder, looking at my phone, looking at our conversation. I did not even know that he was behind me. I didn't feel any breath. I didn't hear anything. So when
I gotta say it, she didn't smell him coming. I mean, she just told us how bad the dude smelled. I mean, I'm sorry, I had to say it.
And I knew that he was behind me because he was there for a couple of minutes. I turned around and I got startled, like I jumped because it scared me. He leans down. He did not say it in my ear. He came face to face with me. His nose was dang near touching mine. He says, you're lucky we here or I'll beat your ass.
Oh, that's way different from what he said.
When he said that, I did not say anything. I got up and I went straight to the bathroom to compose my emotions because I was literally on the verge of crying. My thing is, I was not about to make a scene at his family's house, although he was very out of line for threatening me. Empty threat or not, that was not right because what I did not warrant him to say that to me. So he is right. I did pull the man of the house aside and I pulled the woman of the house aside.
Okay, she loses her connection for just a second. I'm going to stop real fast and say this. At the beginning, she was saying that these people at this house were very disrespectful to her. They were, this, that, and the other, looking at her like she had 3 eyes. But then all of a sudden, she was going to them and reporting on him. He says he told her he would drag her, and she's saying beat her ass. So those are very different words for sure.
So we will see. We'll see if she rejoins.
I think your phone died. It may take a minute.
Okay.
Again, he's making excuses for her. He continues to make excuses.
All right. So sorry, I lost connection. My power went out. I do apologize.
Okay. So
Yes.
we back.
Yes.
You were talking about, and let me remind the party. I'm really focusing on, while allegations of disrespect and relationship issues might explain some stuff.
Yes.
I'm really focusing on whether
All
there have
petty
been acts
stuff.
of family violence committed by, under this case, Miss McDowell against Mr. Fry. And so I really need to kind of focus on that, any evidence about that you think is worth the court presenting. And the last thing you mentioned before I think you fell off was the comment he made to you on the couch when looking over at your phone.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. And I do agree with you. I don't want to come in this court and air out our relationship grievances. To me, that's very stupid. It was no secret that we had a toxic relationship. There was a lot of mental and emotional abuse. There's no secret about that. So I just want to cut straight to the chase that January 9th, the police was called because he indeed physically assaulted me. After we left Kimberly and Andrew Guider's home, we went to his home and he proceeded to tell me, oh, you need to leave, get the F out of my house. And then he went around his house and started not grabbing my things, but throwing my things into like my bags and my suitcases. So at this point, he's disrespecting my belongings. So initially, I'm human. Yes, I got upset and tried to take my things from him. And at some point, he called the police. I don't know when. All I know is that after he called the police, he continued to touch my belongings, and I tried to make him stop by grabbing it from him. Then it escalated because he went to the sink, and I think he had like a shirt of mine in his belongings. He went to the sink to grab a drink of water, the bottle that he showed you. While my shirt was in his hand, I tried to snatch it from him, and he snatched away from me. So I tried to take the water out of his hand. I didn't push it in his mouth, and he did not have an abrasion in his mouth at all. I tried to snatch the water bottle from his hand.
Let me ask you this. Why were you trying to snatch the water bottle from his hand?
Because he would not give me my shirt back. He would not give me my belongings.
So he was injured in the snatching, or allegedly injured in the snatching.
Yes, since he snatched away from me, he jerked back and wouldn't let me get my shirt. I tried to snatch the water bottle out of his hand, and it landed on his shirt. So that's when he proceeded to throw the rest of the water on me. Not only on me, he also threw a lot of that water on the PS5 that I bought him for Christmas. So he wants to make mention of that I mean, that's $600 down the drain, and that's just something that I have to accept to deal with. But yes, that's why it stopped working, because he threw water on me and on the PS5.
Okay.
So when the officer did get there, pretty much I showed him the receipt for the PS5, took that. The officer helped me get my things, and I eventually left. I did not go back to his residence. Now, between January 9th and January 27th, we were still very much communicating with each other, and I already submitted evidence of that. Fast forward to January 27th, when I had my court hearing for the TPO in Fulton County. I dismissed it because we were literally still dealing with each other. I dismissed it on the 27th. We went out for dinner and drinks on the 27th, the 28th, and the 29th. So we were right back together in close proximity with each other, being intimate and everything. And I submitted evidence, for the month of January as well. Now, fast forward again to February 9th, when he dismissed his order against me. February 8th, he was at my home. We were together February 8th, but he eventually left because we got into a verbal altercation. So he decided to leave, and I let him. If he wants to go, he can go. But February 8th, he was at my home. And then February 9th, he dismissed his TPO against me. And then the 9th through the 15th, he flew to Arizona for the Super Bowl. While he was out of town, we were still much communicating, because my car battery died on February 10th and again on February 13th. I also submitted evidence of cash apps where he sent me money for me to get an Uber to and from work. And let me backtrack. Between February 2nd and February 8th, I gave him my car to use because he did not have his car anymore. He sold his Mercedes-Benz. So he was dropping me off at work, mainly picking me up from work, and taking me to my physical therapy appointments. So at no point, like I'm reading on the order, he says that I continue to harass him after he dismissed it on February 9th, when I have evidence submitted that that's not the case. All of our interactions were very much mutual.
Let me ask you this.
Sounds that way.
He was borrowing your car. Around when was that?
This was between February 8th February 2nd until February 8th. I started working for Social Security Administration on February 1st. And the next day, that day when I got off work, he asked me if he could use my car to get to it from work. And I said yes. So I gave him my car. In the mornings, usually I would take Ubers because I only live like 10 minutes from my job. But mainly after work, he would come and pick me up from work and take me to my physical therapy appointments, take me home, and then he would go home. But in the month of January, he has spent most weekends at my home. The month of February, he spent most weekends at my home. The only weekend he did not spend with me was when he was in Arizona for the Super Bowl.
Again, I feel like this guy's probably following her around like a puppy or something, And she's setting the table. If this guy's so scared of me, if I'm being so violent, why is he constantly right with me? That's gonna be a hard one to overcome, because he's always after this girl.
So nothing ever stopped between us. And again, like, I hope I'm not missing anything, because the evidence definitely will lay out the picture for you. And just some key points as well that I don't have physical evidence of, but information that I would like for you to know. On December 22nd through December 26th, I flew back to Wisconsin to spend Christmas with my family. He arranged for my Uber to the airport that morning because I had an early flight. And when I landed on the 26th, he came to pick me up from the airport because he had my car while I was out of town. And if you look at the evidence, for my Cash App January statement, he sent me $250 to help me pay for my flight back home. And again, I did mention that when I dismissed my TPO on January 27th, that night we were together out for dinner and drinks and spent the whole weekend together. I mentioned that I gave him my car almost the first 2 weeks of February so that he could get to and from work. Let's see here. And when I contacted him when my car battery died, he sent me money to Uber to and from work and for food because my car, the battery died. Let's see here. Again, him spending the last 2 weekends at my house in February. The last physical contact that we had was February 26th. He was at my home. So all this time, we have been intimate. We have gone out together. He has been at my house because since January 9th, I never came back to his house. I never went back there to spend any time with him. He's been at my home. Let's see here. It looks like our last argument was on March 1st.
She does have thorough notes. I'll give her that. Thorough notes on even when the last time was they did a fighting. Oh, do them taxes. I did mine the other day. It's a pain in the ass. Thank you so much, Twisted Sifter. Whew, she's got a lot of facts. How's the judge going to decide this one?
And my last message to him was March 20th, and he filed a second TPO against me on March 21st. So that's it as far as communication wise. And then just two last things that.
Go ahead, and then I'll have a couple of questions.
Sure. Two last things that I want to point out, and then I'll be done. And then you could look at the evidence if you'd like. Three. I do not have his garage door opener. I've never had it. This is exactly what I have. His Wells Fargo debit card that I found under the seat in my car. This is the only property that I have of his. I do not have a garage door opener. The second thing that I want to say, and you don't have to, this is just how I feel. I definitely feel like Jared is using the court system as retaliation for two reasons. He knows that I work for the government now. So he wants my job to be affected. And when I say affected, he wants me to get fired from my job. And the second motive for him even filing a bogus TPO against me is that he does not want Andrew Guider to know that, unfortunately, he is sleeping with his wife, Kimberly Guider. Do I have physical evidence of that? Unfortunately not. But Jared has.
She's over here trying to say he's sleeping with a friend of his wife. Oh, she's real. I mean, it has nothing to do with anything with the case, but wow, talking about being vindictive.
Told me that
So we don't need to go into all that.
Okay. And the last thing that I just want to point out is that I'm not a threat to anyone. I'm not a threat or harm to anyone. I don't have a criminal record, and I have never had a violent history of violence. My question, and it's an open question, if I am everything that he is saying I am, why did he continue to be in my life? Why did he continue to stay around? Why did he dismiss the order on February 9th? He could have said, you know what? Yeah, I'm really done with her. Let this stick. He did not do that. So I just want to make it clear that he definitely filed the second TPO under bogus false pretenses. And I hope that my evidence can speak for itself when they're reviewed.
Okay. So one question, what do you have to say about those messages that we heard?
Absolutely. The messages that you guys heard were very much said by me. I was being provoked. I was being mentally and emotionally abused. You heard him tell you that I've been having dealings with this male friend. He has no proof of that because it's never happened. Throughout our relationship, I've been called a slut, a dirty lying whore. I have been disrespected to the utmost. So yes, Your Honor, those messages that you heard were for me, because at the end of the day, I am human. I have feelings just like he does, and it does not feel good to be verbally and mentally disrespected. It does not feel good to be a woman and called a slut and a whore and a tramp and being accused of cheating.
Okay, and I understand, but I'm asking, and so because we're here on a petition about your behavior,
Yes.
two things can be true, right? One person acting badly doesn't, it might be an explanation, but it is not a justification for
Yes.
acting badly. So when you're saying you're not a threat, I also hear some of these messages that are more recent from March.
Yes, well, actually, those messages are not from March. March just passed. Those messages are so old. And that's what confuses me, is that on his initial TPO, he put most of what happened in our relationship on the new TPO, but he already dismissed that February 9th. So he's trying to make information that's relevant on this one that he already dismissed February 9th. That's old information.
Well, so it's old, but it's not, he dismissed it without prejudice, which means there was no decision made on the merits of that case. So it is relevant to my decision here today. And I have to decide that.
Right.
But I've also, so here's the other thing, evidence, and we'll go through your evidence as we need to, but parties can get back together but still commit family violence against each other, right? And so that's not necessarily evidence that y'all were back together. He's admitted y'all got back together a lot, which is why I questioned him about that. But it may go to also, if he's coming to your house, that may go to whether I have enough evidence that he's in fear of future behavior. So these are all things I'm weighing, okay, that I need to find under the law. And for dating violence, there's only very specific, there's a lot less acts than there are under a family violence statute. So I'm looking at all of this, which is why I'm asking these questions, and also why I may make some determinations on any of the evidence you present as being more relevant or less relevant. Okay.
He loves water and
Right. And
peaches.
I want to be clear that I've never physically put my hands on Jared.
Okay. So what about when he was talking about the Uber driver incident?
That's something they never really talk about. I mean, there's tons of verbal and mental abuse that goes on, but most of the time, unless it gets physical, it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem like it's a huge issue in court with these TPOs.
If he has a video, I wish he would have submitted it. I never touched him when the Uber driver pulled up. He walked to the Uber, opened the door, and got in and left. I never put my hands on him, and I wish that he would have submitted that evidence to show you guys, because there is none. I've never physically hit Jared at all, but he has definitely assaulted me the night of January 9th. After the water bottle incident, after he threw it on me and threw it on the PS5, he tried to leave his house. And I'm like, why are you leaving? Where are you going? I was afraid that he was going to try to run from the police because he knew what he did. He literally snatches me by my hoodie, picked me up, and slammed me on the ground. Now, I don't know if you're aware of his background, but he lives in a converted warehouse. His floors are not regular floors, they're concrete floors. So when he did that, when he put me on the ground, slammed me on the ground, he proceeds to put his foot on the left side of my face to hold me down to the ground. I don't know if you can see, but I have metal braces. My mouth instantly starts to bleed. He busts my top lip. So when I could get up, when he eventually let me up, I go to the bathroom and I'm spitting blood in his sink because my mouth is gushing with blood. When the police finally got there, I don't know. When the police finally got there, the officer said, "Oh, I don't see any blood." And I'm telling him, go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. You will see blood in the sink, because that's where I spat out the blood. But he definitely physically assaulted me January 9th. I've never put my hands on him, ever.
Why are we just bringing that up right now? That seemed like way more damning evidence than anything else she had said leading up to this. I mean, that should have been like your lead right there. Most recent violence.
All
I don't
right.
know. It's a mess.
So when was the last time he was at your house?
The last time he was at my house was February 26th.
All right. Okay. All right, let's briefly go through some of your evidence. Some of this stuff, such as pictures of the house that you were at, is not relevant. He's admitted that y'all were there. You admitted that y'all were there. And he's admitted that y'all got back together several times during the time periods he's alleged in the petition, which is one of the things I was trying to focus on time-wise. But we can go through your evidence. Madam Clerk, can you pull up her evidence, please, ma'am?
Okay, which one would you like for me to pull up?
Uh-oh. Here we go.
I know there's several, so do you have,
Voicemails?
Ms. McDowell, do you have an order you would prefer?
Well, in the email, they're labeled like R-A, R-B. So I don't know if you would like to go alphabetically, but if not, whichever one you can pull up, I could briefly explain it, or you could ask me what it's for. But I try to submit it alphabetically.
All right, we can go alphabetically, Ms.
Very, very desperate to put up with this for 3 months. 3 months. 3. They packed a lifetime's worth of bullshit into 3 months. No doubt about it. If you're new here, please say hello. Drop a like. Hallelujah. Thank you. Wow, it's taking Madam Clerk a while. Yeah, those are recognizing anything
While
like
she's
that.
pulling that up, Ms. McDowell, I did have a question. What about the comments about on his work? He said you posted comments on his work site and calling him repeatedly.
I don't know about the calling repeatedly. We were definitely both calling each other. That was never one-sided at any point. As far as me posting on Instagram, I did post that he assaulted me. I don't feel that I did anything wrong. He assaulted me January 9th and he was not arrested. And in return, I got a busted knee and a busted lip. But at no point did I threaten him like, oh, I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to do this and that.
Okay. What about making comments on his work site?
I don't believe that I ever did that. I just know that Instagram, I posted something on my Instagram story for sure.
Okay. The injuries you just mentioned, did you show those or get any medical treatment for them, or did you show them to anyone?
I showed them to my family, but obviously they're not here, but I showed them to my family. And that night I showed them to my male friend, Dennis.
Dennis again for the win.
All right. Okay. So what is this exhibit?
Yes. So I was just trying to go off the dates that he put in his order. So you can see, let me zoom in because that's a little small. October 31st, that's the night that I went to Grady for my suicide attempt. That's him telling me, you know.
All right.
Hey now. What is this?
Do you know what this series of what these series of exhibits are?
Yes, because he put on his order that we've had issues in November. And this is to say that we were literally together in November. We didn't have any issues. This is a timestamp of one of the videos. And I actually merged all of the videos together. I think that's the last piece of evidence because I didn't want to break up each video that way.
So these are all just showing y'all were together during that time and having communication?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can go on to the next one, Madam Clerk.
He was at my house sleeping in my bed. That's the one with his head.
Okay. I mean, we know this guy is, I don't want to call him dumb. He just keeps making he makes really dumb decisions. Really dumb decisions.
Oh, that is the home of Kimberly and Andrew Guider.
We can take this one down.
Okay.
Is all of this about Thanksgiving or what you were mentioning?
Oh, no, just that one. That was where we spent Thanksgiving, and that's where the situation happened with him telling me that he would beat my ass. That was at the same house.
Okay, so the other ones that were on that, because I don't want to put someone else's address on the
Right.
internet.
Yeah,
Right.
don't do that.
Someone else, the other ones that were there. What are these other? What is this?
So that is a timestamp video of him at my house just sleeping, just pretty much laying out the picture that we've been mutually together.
Why is she taking pictures of him asleep? That's weird. Do you guys take pictures of people that are sleeping at your house? If so, I'm never sleeping at your house.
And that's February 19th of this year?
Yes, ma'am. All of them are timestamped. Yes, ma'am.
Georgia. I tell you, 3 months. 3 very fruitful months.
You want to see each one, Judge?
Well, just you can tell me what are these money being sent back and forth?
Yes, ma'am. These are just my Cash App statements from October to, I believe, February of him sending me, money, pretty much again saying that we were still in communication, like we were still together doing things for each other.
Again, this
Okay.
speaks to his stupidity. As far as
All right,
continue
we
to
can,
give you money.
go to the next series.
I mean, it's got to be all. I mean, I hate to get gross or everything, but this has got to be like just a physical relationship he can't get out of because he's just constantly giving in to her and giving her money and things like that. He needs to go see somebody too because he needs to get his head on straight, man. He's just making bad decisions right and left with this relationship.
Okay, so the next ones look like they're the videos.
Okay, so do you know what the videos are, ma'am?
I'm pretty sure those are the actual videos of what I timestamped. Those are
Okay,
like,
so we don't need to do. We can go past those. Is that all that?
I believe so. I'm not sure. I did aid to you, so hopefully you guys got everything. I feel like that went a little fast, but
Well, like I said, some of it is not
Relevant at all.
it's not disputed, I guess is what I'm saying. And so it has less weight for the things that I'm looking at.
okay.
But okay, so is there anything that you think you've missed before I ask him if he has any questions of you?
That's not a
Nothing that I
man.
think I missed. I just definitely feel like I was not as calculated as recording him because I didn't feel like I needed to. We were still together in a relationship. I didn't feel like I had to record his every conversation, recorded his every move. All of the things that happened in our relationship was mutual. It was on both sides. It was never, ever a one-sided situation where I'm doing all of these things to him and he's trying his best to get away from me. He's such a victim. Oh my God. So I just want to make that clear.
Do you have, is there any shared property or shared anything that would have any reason for the two of you to have any future contact?
No, ma'am. Again, this is all of his property that I have, which is his debit card, and he could have it back anytime he would like.
I would too, lady. I would too.
Okay, so sir, you've heard her testimony. Do you have any specific questions for her that you would like me to ask, or would you like me to or would you like just to address the court?
He did like he was roofied.
No questions for her, but
Okay.
But to address something, I'm not sure what we have to do if we can get the other party's information away from this because they have not much to do with this. And she's saying that, I don't have any evidence of her pursuing me. This is the day when I was trying to get away from her.
Okay, I can't.
Chased me through the neighborhood. And even in the video, she hit me while I was getting in the Uber. So I didn't.
Why didn't you submit that?
It did happen. All in all, a lot of the stuff goes along with what I said, in February, early March. Haven't had any contact with her since then.
Okay.
Sometimes, when we aren't talking, I'm able to take my phone off, do not disturb. She calls, I'll answer. She starts doing stuff and I'll just block her again, or just won't answer the phone at all and no communication or whatnot. But All in all, I just don't feel comfortable that it will stop, because even when, I mean, again, she's showing someday, she's saying the month of November, we were good, but on specific days we weren't good. And those are the days that were recorded.
So when you say it won't stop, you're talking about phone calls and
I don't know.
and messages or show. So she said the last time you were at her house was in February. Is that right?
Thank you.
Okay.
That was it. And the reason why I always went to her house is because of the fear of what could happen if it was, because anytime in my home, I have to dial 911. I have no problem removing myself from a situation that shouldn't transpire.
But you were over at her house because y'all were getting along then?
Trying to work things out. Sometimes getting along, not getting along, but.
And you borrowed her car during some of that time period?
Yes, and I've made the decision to just, completely stop dealing with her. Even after that, the evidence that I've shown, that was in March, where she, even up till 3 weeks ago, if you could see, there was another piece of evidence that we didn't go over. You'll see where it's timestamped 3 weeks ago from where she made threats about exposing me to the other parties, which never ever happened, never will happen. I was just there Tuesday night watching Miami Atlanta game. I was just there for Sunday, for Easter Sunday.
She's tough.
That I hold near and dear. Whatever she's saying about that, it's completely untrue and it's very disgusting. So.
All right. So let me ask Miss McDowell. He just showed that video of you in a yellow sweatshirt hitting on him. Do you have anything you would like to say?
He
about
acts
that?
like it.
Hold on. You need to unmute.
He acts like this is his first relationship he's ever had.
So are you saying that video showed me hitting him? Because I never put my hands on him. If you see my hand going, like coming up, that's for me to take his phone away from him, because why are you recording me? Like, recording me. I never hit him at any point.
All right. No, I don't need to see it. I don't need to see it again because it hasn't been submitted. But what I will say, and I want to make sure the parties understand, I'm going to take a minute to look at all of this and look at it because this one is on the line. Snatching things out of people's hand can be simple battery.
No,
ma'am. I'm just letting you know.
Oh, okay.
Snatching phones, bottles, things out of people's hand, it is not consensual. It's provoking contact, and can be simple battery depending on how it goes down. So I need the parties to understand that's still physical.
No, thank God, no children.
It's not necessarily appropriate or proper in a relationship and may be criminal, and may be grounds for the issuance of a TPO. What I am. So I will hear from you. Is there any last thing you would like to say, sir?
Also, she failed to mention to you about the injuries that she sustained and showed to her family and friends. She did have the paramedics come out and do a report. That report came back inconclusive. So there were no injuries reported. She could say she showed her family this and they can say this, that, and the third. It never happened. I guess this is relationship grievances. May matter, may not. I didn't submit it as evidence. She's saying she never cheated. I have proof that she did. I have proof having been at her house there on days. Even in the evidence that I did submit, she admitted that he admitted to having feelings for her. So
I don't care about infidelity is not relevant to here. Okay. Right. That's
And the only time I ever sent her money and stuff like that, it was to support her. Obviously, I was there for her. I tried to do my best to be there for her, take really good care of her, and the time when she was suicidal. That's not anything that I want to have on my heart, knowing that there was something that I could have done and I didn't do anything. So yeah, I mean, obviously I was there for her. I did my best. I did what I could. I wasn't respected in a relationship, physically, mentally, verbally, etc. And again, those are things that I have to deal with. But when my family, friends, and associates are dragged into it, that's where I draw the line at. And on the most recent communication, she has, I don't know, whatever you call it, as far as attempting to expose me to the other parties about some false.
So that that's not going to be a crime that falls under dating violence. Talking badly about people to other people without it being a communication to those people, to you, it is not.
But I mean that could cause hurt and harm to other parties just by her trying to falsely expose something that never happened and is not true.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's not a crime of dating violence under the statute.
I
So
got
I
that.
can't consider it. And talking badly to other people, about other people
And not only that, I think
is not a good social thing, but it's not a crime under dating violence.
yeah, and I haven't brought this up it may, I believe it is in evidence, but I do have text messages where she's reached out to other people to stir up, issues between us. And I have.
So let me ask you this, is this in March of this year?
I believe it was January.
Okay, so again, I've heard evidence that, and this is the issue. For stalking, there has to be no contact and no communication between the parties.
Very.
Okay. What I've heard, there was ongoing communication on and off up to the end of February.
Okay. But
So I can't find stalking in this case.
Okay.
There sounds like there has been acts of simple battery. And ma'am, I'm going to tell you simple assault as well on some of those messages. Okay. Those messages are not.
Glad you're here, sweet auntie.
Okay. And they corroborate some of what he has said. At the same time, and snatching, like I said, snatching things, taking things out of people's hands is not okay. At the same time, you coming to someone's house after you filed a TPO against them, even if it was dismissed and then refiling, that affects the second prong of my evaluation. So I do find that there have been acts of dating violence committed by the respondent. But now that the parties do not have any, unless you reinitiate contact, the testimony's been there's not been any contact for the past 3 weeks. I have not heard sufficient evidence of a reasonable fear and likelihood of future acts of dating violence to issue an order at this time. What I will tell you is that doesn't preclude from future filings should there be any future contact. He has made it clear at this point, at least, that he does not want any contact from you. Okay. This one was very close, but the recent the petitioner going to the respondent's house since January multiple times, that weighs in the future acts. Okay. And it also, like I said, affects the stalking because there was ongoing communication that precludes a finding of stalking. But that doesn't mean he can't file in the future should there be any future contact. Now, on the same line, sir, if you reach out to her, that limits your ability to say you can't have contact with me. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, sir.
So the evidence that I submitted happened. I haven't had any contact with her since then, and it continued to push forward.
I understand, but it was.
That would be a cranker.
She disputes somewhat the timing of that.
This close.
And that's
that close, Tiff. That close.
That has not happened in the past 3 weeks.
The first thing, yes, it has. The evidence shows that it has. It says,
which one are you saying happened in the past 3 weeks?
Evidence.
I mean, she's already ruled. It doesn't make a difference, does it?
The RPR, the replay final ending in 078. That timestamps 3 weeks. The phone calls were within the past 3 weeks.
She's tough on.
I got a call like 300 times throughout the weekend, and around the time when she sent that message. This is.
So that was 3 weeks because you told me you had not gotten any phone calls in the past 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks right there on the borderline. I mean, let me see. The
borderline.
I do have something because I know that it was during the time after I filed for this.
It's all too little, too late, man.
Because
too little, too late.
For stalking, it has to be a course of conduct over a period starting at the last time y'all stopped contact.
Look at her down there.
1, 2, 3. So
you returning after a lot of these incidents
A month, Your Honor, a
Borderline.
month passed by
So it's
after.
been a month.
No, I'm saying a month passed after my last time having contact with her. A month had passed by, and it was still happening from her before I had any remaining contact with her.
You told me though, when was the last contact you had from her? The testimony you gave me earlier was that there had been nothing in the last 3 weeks.
That's right on the 3. To me, the 3 weeks is the 3 weeks. I mean, that's on the.
Okay, so I've made my decision. All right, based on everything I've
You're
heard
done, brother.
from the
You're done.
testimony of both parties. And what I was saying was, if there is any future contact by the respondent, and there has been no contact, as it's made very clear today, the petitioner does not want any contact, then he may very well have grounds to file for a dating violence order, and it may get issued. Okay? Because at that point, it will be clear, as long as there has been no contact on the part of the petitioner, that he wants no contact, and you have continued to do so.
Your Honor, if I could say something.
Sir,
Nope.
I will, but I'm not going to argue with you about the evidence because I have to find it by a preponderance of the evidence. So go ahead. You may say something.
Go ahead. Go
I've
ahead.
been bombarded day and night with random phone calls from an app called Grindr, from somebody who gave them my number. I'm getting.
So here's what we hear these a lot, and that's why stalking is because now you're moving into this
Grindr won't leave him alone at night.
stalking territory. That's what these are. Here's what I'm going to tell you, and she needs to understand this too.
Grindr.
One, there has to be some connection by her to this. Okay, that's very difficult in these kind of cases. So these acts you're telling me about, they may be worth reporting to the police, and they may be harassing phone calls, or stalking, that the police can investigate. And then if there's evidence, that can come forth in this as well, if you need to refile again. But harassing phone calls is also not a dating violence crime. But it sounds like you're getting these calls from Grindr, but you don't know where they're coming from, or don't have evidence of that at this time. You suspect it's her, and I get why you suspect it's her, but there's not been any evidence presented to me that it was her. And the testimony was that there has been no contact. So I am going to dismiss it by preponderance of the evidence. What, are you telling me that you have evidence?
She's getting very frustrated with him right now. She has muted herself. She's so frustrated.
That was not submitted to the court in this case.
Yeah, I understand, and that's my fault. I understand you made your decision. This is a phone number from her.
I put it down.
Text messages from her. This says even March 25th at the top of it.
Okay, so I can't take your phone as evidence. Why did you not mention that to me?
Yeah, I really. Who knew about a 3-week rule? And
it's not a 3-week rule, but you told me you hadn't had. So here's the issue I have is that. You said there's been no contact in 3 weeks.
It's a hookup for men to
start
men.
Bringing this up when I make my ruling. So I've got to make a ruling on the evidence that was presented. Sir, this is my decision. You are free to refile, and you're free to call the police about any stalking or harassing phone calls. And ma'am, you've heard what I've said. If there is any continued communications with him, if you show up at his house, you could be arrested for criminal trespass. If you call him, he may call the police for stalking or harassing phone calls. If there's any continued phone calls of any kind, and he also may file, as long as there's not been any ongoing communication between the parties, he may refile for an order. But at this time, sir,
She's had it. She can't take no more.
All right, I've made my ruling.
They refused to. I tried to get a CT filed on her. They refused to file it.
So that's not a thing. So when the police come to your house, they can issue a criminal trespass warning. Here's what I'm going to tell you. That doesn't change the evidence that's before me. Here's what I'm going to tell you. You can reach out to the Women's Resource Center, and they can go over more options with you and also give you a plan on how to document anything for the future should you need to file. Okay? All right.
Wow. Real quick, I wanted to tell Kenya happy birthday. I'm glad you're here with us too. A hallelujah for your birthday. I'm glad you're here too. I'm glad all of you here, well over 300 of you here during the show. I really appreciate that. This was definitely a case where this guy has gotten way too over his head with this girl. Way too much. It's become a point of him really just making a fool of himself about this girl, giving her money, constantly going back to her, leaving her, coming back, leaving her, coming back, trying to get all these TPOs against her. It's just kind of dumb. She definitely was not a good girlfriend. You know, there may have been cheating on both sides. I don't know. None of us know. The only people know are those two people right there. But let this be a lesson to everybody. He couldn't leave that cookie alone. You guys, I appreciate y'all being here. And if it was your first time here, I really appreciate you giving us a chance. If you like court, we cover court 5 days a week, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern time. We have a case-only channel called We Got a Case on YouTube. If you're watching over on Credence and Mikey, that's the channel where you'll get everything from our chases to our cases all in one spot. If you're bored later on, you want something to do, there was a lot of snatch talk, Monica. Tons of snatch talk. If you got some time, go back, watch some of our old shows. Give them a chance. We don't do everything like everybody else. You got to remember, this is YouTube. Stay single. This is YouTube. Everybody doesn't have to do the same thing that everybody else does. Everybody can do their own thing and have just a good time. Our whole want for this channel is to have a great chat, to have a good time, for everybody to enjoy themselves and really just get out of, maybe you're having a down day and you just need a little something. This is the place for it. I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. There's so many goodbyes. I appreciate all of you with the goodbyes and the see you laters. And of course, the most important thing, I have to thank everybody who took time, reached down deep into the pockets and become either a member on one of our channels or just was nice enough to say, here's a couple of bones. I appreciate what you're doing. And that, my friends, that means a lot. It means so much, because without you, there's no us. Without us, would your life be the same? Jojo B, Flusha, Jim, Flusha the Saint, Toy Mom, Twisted Sifter, all reaching out and touching someone today. Not snatching. That's a no-no. Don't be grabbing people's phones. Don't be hitting them with no water. Don't be coming around here no more. Be good. Stay snatch free. We'll be back tomorrow. Doing it. And doing it. And doing it well. You guys have a good one. I'll see you next time. Baby. Hasta la vista. I'll take that. Back to the music. Listen.